You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Welcome to Minute to Skim It. Long time show. Many readings. It would be interesting to actually go back and count how many shows and how many books that Minute to Skim It has actually reviewed.
I mean, at least two.
At least
two.
You were not going to be inaccurate with that at all. I can remember when we first thought of this show, the premise of it was literally to spend 1 minute reading a comic book, which I don't really know how much information you get out of it in 1 minute. But then we would just kind of make up what we thought the rest of it was. And that was fun. But then we were like, we should probably,
actually.
Yeah. People might use this information to go to their LCSs and pick out books.
And with some, if you just look at the cover and quickly flip through, it's like, oh, I probably shouldn't have recommended this to someone just because I like the art in it. Because then the content's like, oh no.
And we were just talking about, I very rarely give what's called a bad review. But I have in the past given it, it's not my jam, or I don't know what I just read. Those are my two. That's as bad as it gets for me. What do you say when you don't like something? You just say, I don't like it.
It's not my cup of tea.
Not my cup of tea.
At least live on the show, I'll be like, it's just not my cup of tea.
I've been really missing doing reading. I feel like even just a month out from being the person that's doing Minute to Skim It means I feel like I'm lost, because that's like one cycle for monthly books where you're just like, I don't know what happened last month, so I don't know what happened now. Now we're going to keep you from feeling this way by, even if you have a month where you can't go to your LCS, we'll fill you in, or we can help you figure out a book that you would really like to try out, which is our hope. Because I was reading some articles this week about what makes, because usually the articles are from the point of view of the retailer, like what's going on in the industry, what's changed. This was awesome because it was from people that were actual comic book readers, not just customers of comic book stores, but readers. And the cool thing that the article said that was blowing my mind is that there was no rhyme or reason for whether people were into digital first and then comic books, or they were moving away from digital and wanting to get physical copies again, or whether they were moving away from physical copies and going into trades, or not doing trades and going the other way. There was equal amounts of people moving across the mediums and the way they come out in all kinds of ways. But the cool thing that they mentioned that I was like, this is so true, and we need to get back into it because the pandemic messed us up a little bit. The thing that makes comics cool is the getting together and talking about comics. And that was the thing that kind of got screwed up by people not being able to go into stores and talking face to face with their LCS owners and the staff that's there that they totally, love. So I hope that you spend some time with your LCS. Go back in and ask them what they like, what they've been reading, what's coming out next. Because that's all part of our comic community. Yeah. It'll help you feel connected.
Honestly, the best part about everyone else being at the convention and I was here, it was like, oh, okay, I'm actually talking to people and being like, oh, I really need you to read this. Like, you're asking what indies can I read? All right, I've got you. Let me recommend these.
Doesn't it feel good to be like, you have a need and I'm going to match you to the thing that's going to make you fall in love?
Yeah. It did throw me off because she was like, oh, I get kind of skeeved out by horror. And I was like, all right, give me a minute. I've got to readjust where my recommendations were going.
What is it? Ed Weird says, the big boss and lawyer together, they have to behave. Not really lawyer.
Well, no, I always do the as your attorney joke from Fear
Oh.
and Loathing.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
So
I thought
it's
it was
now a running thing.
I thought it was a joke about my firstbornness. Sean is in the room. Hello, Sean. Thank you so much for all your help for the comic paloozas. And yeah, if you guys can share out, we'll get to the reviewing parts now. There are some big books released this week, and some opportunities to maybe go off the beaten path for you. I think we actually review the exact same amount of books. There's always this moment where you're like, oh no, we're off by one.
Yeah, or it's like, oh, like one of us read like 2 or 3 more than the other.
Mm-hmm. You want to start?
Sure.
You can either rip off the Band-Aid and do the ones you're like, or go for the gusto or somewhere in the middle.
I didn't really have any that I was like, about. Like I was like pretty much all of them. I was like, okay, this is good. I'll start with Sacred Bullets. For no rhyme or reason.
What company is this one?
Sacred Bullets is Blood Moon Comics.
Blood Moon, yeah. They've had some other good titles.
Pinnacle Press. So yeah, so this is kind of like, if anyone has ever watched King of the Hill, then you know that the priest that does the battle, the TV show that Peggy loves, Monsignor Martinez. It's like that, except if it was serious.
Okay.
Because this priest, he has a personal vendetta against drug dealers that have ruined his neighborhood, and he came from a rough upbringing, and he just wants to make life better. The cops, on the other hand, are like, hey, Mr. Priest Man, we gotta... Is that their official names?
That's for that.
Like, hey, man, we want to take you down because you killed a vicar. However, this vicar was corrupt, and it was a whole thing. And it's a priest that's kicking butt. I mean, it's pretty cool.
So they know. Are they a gun priest, or are they a kung fu priest? What do they do?
Gun and fighting, like gun and physical, like fisticuffs. Well, not really fisticuffs.
So like Book from Firefly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I enjoy it. I'm curious to see if there will be a lot more, or if it's just a short thing or one shot. It just said issue 1, so I'm not. Because sometimes with the issue 1s, it's actually just a one shot, and it's like, oh, but more, please.
I have a question for you.
Hmm?
Do your ears ever accidentally summon demons?
Not so far. But I mean, my
cool Ouija board things.
Yeah, my necklace hasn't either, and I wear this every day.
Well, that's a possibility. It could only really talk to you in the letters in Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. So, that's not a person I would like to summon. So.
All right, I'm going to talk to you about a book called The Savage Strength of Starstorm. Savage Strength of Starstorm. This is an image book. Written, most of the stuff that's in this book is done by Drew Craig. It says it's written, and the art is by, I think Jason Finstone does the lettering. But this is a kind of an interesting story about these two guys, this guy and him when he's not in this kind of form, who are I guess high schoolers. It's one of those things that, like, the art style is the kind where it's not very good at doing age.
Oh,
where it's like, okay, well, I think they're supposed to be in high school, but they look like they could also be 30. So just like every Hollywood made film about high school.
Oh, Scream.
Yeah, right. So they are new going to this high school that she, who is their stepsister, already has gone to. So she's kind of cool. Her name is Jen, so I love her automatically. And they have like an awkward first day, right, where, the big beefy jock guy has to kind of try to assert his dominance or whatever. And that shakes out like, all high school dramas do. But as part of their school day, a giant meteor, or appears to be a giant meteor, comes and smashes into their school. And things happen to one specific person that we see, which is the brother of him. He has this, after he gets hit, he has some kind of super powered suit that shows up, and then other cool stuff. So I think it's a good start. The art style is not my usual kind of art style. I'll give you a really good, like the Jen art style there that you see. The people that do it really well that I do like are Jamie Primiak, but that's her Binary Star line, and that is beautiful throughout. This just feels, it's just too loose for me. It's a personal choice that I don't like. The story is great, and I read things mostly for the story, so I would still read this series, even though the art style isn't my favorite kind. But yeah, it's the savage strength of Star Storm. That is a tongue twister.
That's a lot of alliteration.
It's so much.
Okay, and I will go with.
I messed up, and I worked really hard to try. Oh no, I did. I got it right. Which name is under which person?
Oh,
I
yeah.
still haven't figured out how to make it so it goes actually under us.
Yeah, sometimes it just.
And this
It's
way,
a 50-50.
you are both Alfie and Miss Jen.
Hello. It's my business. Hello. We're in trouble. All right. This is Deep Cuts issue 2. And I don't think that this is a direct follow-up from the previous one, because the last one, I believe, was in New Orleans, like 1918, with a kid. And this is Chicago, 1928. I mean, I guess he could still be in this. I honestly don't remember the main character's name from the first one. It's been a minute. But basically, this woman, Gail, she is trying to write a musical for Broadway, and she's normally a ghostwriter, and she is a musician. She plays piano, and the director or whatever, like the person that's kind of in charge, giving her a deadline, he's like, okay, well, this needs more jazz. Like, I need more jazz in this. And she's like, I don't really know anything about jazz. So he's like, cool, figure it out. You have 48 hours.
Oh, learn everything there is to know about jazz in 48 hours.
Yeah, so she's got to like write the best of jazz song ever written in 48 hours. And she ends up hanging out with some people in the jazz scene. Someone takes her to a speakeasy because this is during Prohibition. And yeah, it seems like she's like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. It doesn't turn out the best, unfortunately. And then later on, though, like at the end, it's kind of like, basically the whole thing is like kind of like forgotten fame, because she gets more famous. Well, not even famous, but she gets more successful as a ghostwriter, and no one knows that, oh yeah, this woman, she wrote this song for someone else. And it's just like, oh well, it's unfortunate. This the whole ghostwriting and like being like not known, even though you did something that's really amazing for someone else.
I always wonder about that, about people that are like singer-songwriters, but they themselves don't become famous for their songs that they wrote. I think there's a lot of people out there that fall into that. Now, as long as they're the person that becomes famous from singing their songs gives them attribution, and that's always fine.
Oh, and just like the first issue, there is like sheet music in the back.
Oh, so you can play like her form of jazz?
I don't know if it's hers. I think like in the back they also have like a little about like for a musician that's doing the sheet music.
Okay.
Oh, and the art is amazing as well. I think they're doing a different artist for each issue. And this one was Helena Marcellus.
Okay. I wonder if, so this cover art reminds me of another book that Image put out that was called Juke Joint, that they only ended up with like 2 or 3 issues of it, and somehow it got canceled, and I have no idea why, because it was the best. It was about these women that owned a juke joint. Oh. And if you created fuss there, you automatically were like in big trouble with them. And it was like a mystery that we never got to learn anything about, which is so sad. Alfie, a being a demon, isn't a plot twist. Now, if Alfie wasn't a demon, that would be a plot twist. Oh, because it says Alfie is the demon. Plot twist.
As my own attorney, I can neither confirm nor deny. So
she could not self-incriminate.
Neither did.
All right. I know that you guys love the first series of this. This is TMNT Saturday Morning Adventures #1. Sorry, I missed a word in there, Jay. Forgot the adventures part. In this tale, it pairs a character that is being has been very important to the main storyline, the Armageddon game that's been going on in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's the Rat King. So in this tale, the pitch is that the Rat King accidentally gets hold of like some ooze that falls off the back of a truck. And his power has been in the past that he has just something kind of like electronic device that allows him to speak to rats. They do his bidding. But at some point, maybe in the last series, he got the power to just like think to rats or talk to rats, and they have to obey him. Now, when this ooze gets on him, then he loses his ability to think, talk to the rats, and have them do things like bring him random trash that's useful. And instead, the pitch is that's going to make you, the hook that's going to get you to read this is instead it calls and makes the turtles do whatever he wants. Huh. He doesn't know what's happening at the beginning, by the way, until they show up and say, whatever you want, master. So it's great. It is that same art style for Saturday morning cartoons that you're used to, and it's really cute. And I'm definitely at 53, not their target audience, but I would read it again. So
nice. I did learn that Trent Reznor is doing the music for the new movie that's coming out. I'm like, oh,
what?
That's exciting.
Like the whole thing, like the.
Yeah, I read it. I saw an article that was like him and someone else is doing the score.
Okay, so normally I would be like, I don't know how in the world that happened, but also
he's been doing a lot of scores.
Killed it for Tron, so I'm going to shut up and just enjoy it.
Yeah, and I mean, he did the score for Social Network, so.
Oh, I've never seen that. Okay.
Oh, it's really
I'm
good.
I'm going to go back or if I had, I didn't recognize that there was a soundtrack that was different, so yeah, I'll go back and look.
Okay, and this is Star Trek Annual, which I really need to read more Star Trek because it really is just, it feels like I'm just opening my door and coming home and just relaxing. It just feels good. For anyone that doesn't know, I grew up watching TNG, so that's it's very personal. So it's about the USS Theseus, which is, the ship is kind of, it's experimental, and no one really completely knows a whole lot about it, and it's like being run by a neutron star that's being contained. And
so it's really dangerous.
Yeah, I would assume it's very dangerous. And it's run by a lot of legends, including Montgomery Scott.
Yes.
So the ship kind of becomes sentient. Like the holograms in it become sentient, and like there's loads of appearances, like including Kirk, and Data's there. Data's cat's there, but they're real. But Kirk is a hologram. And Pike, and just there's a list.
All the characters we love. Just say everyone we
yes,
love.
pretty much everyone, including Data's cat. And they're basically trying to figure out like it seems like the holograms are trying to make demands. Like, hey man, we want to be free.
Where would they?
I don't know.
Live.
Oh, I don't know. This is sci-fi stuff that's beyond my
They haven't thought it through.
But and Kirk is kind of like, but if they're free, then I'm alone. So can we not do this? I don't want this to happen. But yeah, it's really good, and it's fun, and it feels good. It feels good reading Star Trek. Everyone reads Star Trek. It just feels like home. And I really need to read the rest of the countdown to Day of Blood. I know that I read their Free Comic Book Day one. That's part of that. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be a lot. Just so much.
I think it's the first time ever that the Star Trek universes have done a big epic storyline, a la, like an X-Men, big gigantic crossover stuff. So
yeah, it's huge crossover stuff. It's just there's so many characters, and it's like, oh man, it's been so long since I've watched all of these Star Trek lines.
By the way, I know that Star Trek 400 is Eisner nominated, so maybe in July we'll have a Star Trek with an Eisner. I know that it's the issue number 400, and then I think a short story that's within that. I think it's the one that's written by Wesley Crusher.
Oh, that's cool.
My brain won't come up with his real name, so sorry, man. My brain hurts when I try to focus too hard.
I'm gonna remember at 3 a.m. That's what's gonna happen.
As soon as you start talking, it'll come to memory. Will Wheaton! Shut up, Will. All right. Oh, it's my turn. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this one was total fun. If you like turtles, you'll probably like this too. This one is the Legion of Exceptional Gorilla Men. This one is out of American Mythology Productions, and it is straight into the action of them. There's a big battle. There is a bad guy who is kind of like cloaked. You don't ever get to see his face, which I think might be important at some point, because I think all we see are either ape people or humans in this. I don't see any other kind of creature, at least in this issue. The cloaked figure is trying to, what he describes as, he wants to collect specific ones of these ape superheroes that he's kind of like enticed to come do this battle. And the whole purpose of it is not to do the battle part, but to like, so that he can capture them. Or I think he's like teased them with rescuing 2 of their compatriots. And he feels like he very much wants to have 4 of them specifically to gather, I think he says like gather their data, which is really weird because they don't look like they're digital creatures. They all have very specific skill sets, which is I guess why, and my brain went straight away to like the idea of like when the Power Rangers, like at the beginning, they're fighting specific creatures, but eventually it's all just so they can get together and make one big mega something. That's kind of the way it feels to me. It's really cute. There's a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff. Is there anything else? They have really unique names and powers. They're neat. So this is a kind of a fun romp. I mean, it's not for kids because it's got violence in it, but I don't remember any foul language. So maybe it's fine for the teens. But yeah, I thought it was great.
Very nice. And since this one had a preview of that book in it.
And likewise, mine had a preview of your book in it.
Very good. Very good. Okay, this is Rawhead Reborn. And this is also from American Mythology Productions? Is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. And basically, it starts off in the year 1995. And it starts off with someone basically being like, hey, I put a curse on you. Like, Rawhead, he's coming back, and he's going to get you guys. And it's a group of cops, and the one person dying that's saying this, and it's like, okay, well, there's no story here. It's just like, okay, something happened. And then it goes on to year 2003, where the cops are like, oh, man, there's like a serial killer going around. Like, what's happening? Why are these people dying that we kind of knew? And then someone's like, did they take a trophy? It's like, yeah, they did. Oh, it's Rawhead. Rawhead's back. There's a curse. We're all dead. Just forget about it.
What kind of trophy do you mean?
They took the jawbone of someone. Like,
okay, so an object to remember their kill by. Okay.
Yeah.
I was envisioning someone's bowling trophy.
that would. I feel like that would completely change the tone. But yeah. So at least 1 or 2 cops is kind of like, okay, I legitimately believe that Rawhead is coming back. He's gonna kill us. And then everyone else is like, nah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They should definitely worry about it. Stuff is happening. But it very much just like got to the point of like, hey, there's a curse. Hey, there's death. Hey, bad stuff's happening. And you don't know why. One of the cops kind of hinted at like, man, I shouldn't have done what I did. But he doesn't say what he did. It's just like, oh, what'd you do?
So the whole issue, you never find out what the thing is?
Not really. It's just kind of hinted. But yeah. So it was just very like, do. All right, let's go to the next issue. Like, you'll have to wait.
Oh, the teasing. All right, I'm gonna leave my middle. Yeah, I'm in my middle. Okay. This is one of those crazy moments in which this is the queens of the Lost World. Queens of the Lost World. It is perfect for folks that like kind of the Opus does a lot of this stuff that's kind of like fantasy. And I enjoy a fantasy, but this one, I don't know. Maybe I watched too much Dungeons and Dragon movie recently or whatever, but it is definitely of that genre. So really it introduces, I think, 3 different kinds of queens from the Lost World. A queen of demons, a queen of, I can't remember the other ones. They're really beautiful. And there's some sexual stuff. Like one of them walks in on the other one who appears to be doing it with like some kind of weird ghost skeleton man.
Oh.
So there's no nakedness about it. It's just, they're in a compromising position, I guess. And there's, it's just it's a sword and, what do they call those? Sword and
shield?
Sword, whatever. They call them sword and something books, but it's the same reason I read Conan, The Last Barbarian, or any of those. Sword and sorceries, yes. There's some exceptions, of course, to the rule. I did love Dungeons and Dragons a lot.
I need to see the new movie at some point.
You have not seen it?
No. I'm behind. I've just been rewatching Renfield 1,000 times. That's all I've been doing.
Oh, well, that's fair. That's a great movie.
It really is good. Okay. This is the Power Girl special. It's a one-shot. So, Power Girl and Omen are trying to defeat Johnny Sorrow. He's released his 4 horsemen, which are the Pit, the Pendulum, the Poet, and the Piper. And they're basically just wreaking havoc in 4 different cities across the U.S., like just basically the 4 corners type thing. And Power Girl is having a lot of issues because she feels like she's not good enough for the super family, and like she shouldn't even be around, she shouldn't exist. Like she's having some serious mental struggle, and that's why Johnny Sorrow, he's picking up on that and is like, well, hey, we could just join up, team up, then you wouldn't have to deal with it. You just team up with me because we're both sad.
So emo in here.
Yeah, I mean that's like the vibe I got from it. But
hey, Slipknot.
Hello. But so she kind of has to deal with her own mental struggle while also figuring out new powers that she has and trying to save the super family and the Earth. And Omen's also trying to help her out. It's a whole thing. It's a pretty thick story. And there's also a bonus story with Fire and Ice, where Fire and Guy Gardner are fighting over ice, and also wreaking havoc while they were trying to save the city. It's just like, okay, well now we're fighting, so. And
Slipknot luxurious.
Oh, thank you. And Ice is just like, dude, can we not? Like, this is, you guys are destroying the city, and we just saved it. Can we calm it down? It was pretty. It's an amusing story, which I think that one's supposed to continue in something else. But yeah,
it's good. I don't know that we've had just a straight up just Power Girl story in a long time. And there was a really good Power Girl cosplay at Comic Palooza.
Oh, very nice.
That looked really good. They were really close to the real look.
Yeah, I think this is going to start something else, but I mean, this is contained in itself as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
You know what's so funny is that a lot of books now started to have these here's your main story and then here's another sub story that continues on in the next book. And sometimes, weirdly, the sub story is actually somewhat better than the main one. Maybe because it's it has to be short and sweet. So yeah. They got all the goods in those couple pages. All right, here is another one of the books I read this week. I have to apologize. So this is Pathfinder, Wake of the Dead. Brand new series.
I read the Ash Can for this a few weeks ago.
Okay, so maybe you can add something to it. I love Fred Van Lente, who's the writer of this, but I'm going to be upfront. I have always had this weird problem where I am totally down for playing D&D, but I am not down for listening to someone describe what their D&D adventure was yesterday. I don't know. Everything within me is like, I wasn't there. It's not like a movie. It's like way cooler to you because you were there and you know the back history and all those things. And before even reading it, my gut response was already like, great, I'm gonna have to hear about someone's D&D experience. And I don't care because it's not my character or my adventure. So it did look really cool, but I got in my own way. Have you guys ever done that? When you get in your own way of liking something just because you go in with like preconceived whatevers? So give it some love.
Yeah, well, I will say, like, even reading the Ash Can, I was like, there's a lot of lore here that I'm not privy to at this moment. Like, I need to go back and read like other Pathfinder related stuff because it's like, oh yeah, there's like new world, new characters, and it's like I'm certain it's great to jump into if you want to jump into it, but if it's like, oh, I feel a little bit overwhelmed because there's a lot I got to figure out right now.
And that is a good question, Slipknot, because I haven't played any of the Pathfinder module stuff or universe, so I don't know. And that's also a little bit where I'm lost. Like, I don't know any of the characters or character classes or whatever that thing is using.
Yeah, I know.
So it's something I have to overcome.
When I looked up the about to maybe get a clearer idea of what it was about, it was like, oh, like, yeah, and new characters, and there's a new world that they're exploring, and it's like, oh, okay, so this is all new. I don't necessarily have to know what went on before, but in my heart, it feels like I need to know anything from previous.
Mm-hmm. So this is me saying that's the last book that I have anything to be like about. I love all the rest, so it's okay. You're okay in there. You're jumping all around the board.
Yeah, a little bit.
Jump around.
Okay, this is World Tree issue 2, which is definitely for adults, not for kids or teenagers. It's definitely adult. There's nudity. Do not read around family if they're not comfortable with that and they might peek over your shoulder. So stuff's happening. So Fosta, she was with the dude whose brother was going on a killing spree. She breaks into the house that he was last in, like where he was spending his time, where the killer was spending his time, and it looks like she might become infected with whatever the World Tree virus is, which I'm still confused as to. It seems like you watch something like all of the Ring, stuff like that, and you're infected. But it's weird because I can't tell if the person that's also stalking everyone is the virus and she's somehow causing stuff, because like they do this weird graphic thing that's like, are you real or not? I can't tell if you are a physical being or if you are a program that has manifested. It's weird, and I love it. And the tech bros from previously who were talking like, oh yeah, like it looks like it's back again. Like this thing that it seems like they maybe created. It's like they're either trying to stop it or contain it. It's crazy. This feels like one of those ones that, like, as the story progresses, it's going to get crazier, but then at the end, it'll, like, be wrapped up in a neat little bow and be like, oh, okay, it all makes sense now. But, yeah. Oh, I really want to know where this story is going, because I honestly have no clue, and I'm excited. And I love the art in it. It's amazing.
I love books like this because my investigative person wants to try to figure out what the thing is. So I'll start making all kinds of random guesses about what the real shtick is. I'm always secretly really happy whenever one of my wild guesses was close somehow.
Yeah, it's just all I can definitely say is that the woman that's like stalking Fasta and like kind of just appears in these places that seems to be the virus, like that's what it feels like she is. But like my only thing is that I know that she wants people dead. Why? I don't know.
Just all people? Doesn't matter?
Doesn't seem like it matters. Like she just wants other people to kill and she wants to kill too, but I don't know why.
Man.
Yeah, it's just it's weird. I love it.
All right. We'll always talk up Zenescope to you guys. This is Robin Hood, spawn of some word I'm not going to be able to try to pronounce because no. But the thing I've liked about Zenescope recently is they've stopped doing a bunch of numerical things, so you have to read them in order. I think Grimm Fairy Tales is the only thing really that is in numerical order, or maybe the Goat Man, Bunny Man, and I can't remember.
I think it's Goat Man.
Oh, is it Goat Man? Goat Man, Bunny Man.
I think
That one, there's like a run of 4 or something that's going on right now. But in that way, you can just jump in any of these things that are just single, and they're actually extra thick books. This is like 30 pages of content instead of the normal 24. And usually within that 24, there's like sometimes it's just ad stuff also. So there's a lot of stuff to read. And specifically, this one's a great place to jump in because it gives some back story to the character, like back to her childhood, which I don't know that we've ever gotten before for Robin Hood. I know Jenna would know more because she's our resident expert on all things Zenescope. But lest you think that all Zenescope is only, raunchy interior whatevers, it's just they have really pretty covers and they have that kind of stuff. But the interior stuff is all serious story. It's all strong female protagonist. And that's not being said tongue in cheek. It really is good storytelling. And in this one, it has a tale of her as a kiddo. Make sure I get my 2 stories together because it jumps back and forth. So I'm going to mix this up with another story here. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Okay. So it does jump back and forth between her as a kid and her in present time. The storyline has almost like this. The best way to say what it is it looks like a Cthulhu creature that is coming after her, and it also has storyline where it shows her as a young girl and being picked on and her having to you can see in her already that she's super tough and she gets beat all the way up, but then when the boys are walking away that she stands up and says, wait, I'm not done. So it's a good story to jump in. I can't tell you much more, otherwise it gives away the spawn part. So I recommend.
And then I'll go ahead and do my Grimm Fairy Tales.
Woo-hoo.
So this is Grimm Fairy Tales. This is issue 72, which admittedly I am not actively reading all of Grimm Fairy Tales. I would like to, but I was curious if I could just jump in and understand the story, especially since when you see like, oh, there's 72 issues, it feels daunting to be like, oh, I'll start at the beginning. But they actually did a pretty concise about at the very beginning, like, oh hey, essentially like a previously on, and this is what's going on in the storyline. So like Sky has to take over after her mom's death, and she's the new guardian of the Nexus, and her mentor Shang is helping her figure out her powers and like the scope of them and like how powerful she can be. And this opens up with a big battle with a Cthulhu type monster, but like if Cthulhu was a little baby, because in comparison to what I know Cthulhu to be as like this giant elder god, he's just like I'm adult sized, like human. So Sky's fighting this Cthulhu monster, and like Mystere is like knocked out, but you know, basically the whole issue is like a fight scene. So there was definitely something previously that happened, and you know, jumping in, and it looks like this is definitely going to lead up into. As far as I know, Zenescope is having a big like universe crossover event, and I think all the one shots and like all the this current run it's leading up to that because like more characters show up at the very end and are like, oh yeah, I guess we're this stuff is happening. We gotta save people. We gotta do weird dark superhero type stuff.
I do like that. I don't think there's anything in the Zenescope universe doesn't touch each other.
Yeah, like I know that it's been a bit since they've had like a full on crossover event, but this is like everyone's supposed to be coming together soon.
Oh yeah, for common whatever.
Mm.
I love this book. This is cat fight. Okay, for fans of I will say like Catwoman because of her her catting around and stealing of things. And family drama, this is the book for you. So the main character of this book is this gentleman right here. I think his name is Felix, which makes sense.
Oh yeah.
He's surrounded by cats on the front cover, by the way, so if you like kitty covers, it's on there. So it is an adventure about him needing to go and steal. He's trying to steal this really, really expensive red, I guess it's a red diamond, but it's a red stone of some sort. And he needs it because he believes that if he gets it and gives it to this crime family that he owes, that it will be a wash for what he owes them. And there's a bunch of shenanigans that go on in regard to that. One of which is when he gives he successfully, I'll spoil it, he successfully steals something. And when he presents it to them, they still have to guess whether they have to go and verify that it's real because I guess whatever this object is has been copied many times. So I guess it's been found multiple times and not been right. So the twist that's going on in this book, I can't even tell you more than where I am in the storyline or it will spoil a lot of stuff for you. But we'll just say that the drama that happens in this is a family affair. And it will pit family members against each other and not a good way. So if you like dark tales, all right, Slipknot has a question here that I'm trying to read with my bad glasses. Does the name Ben Grimm, aka the Thing, have any connection to Grimm fairy tales? It does not. It's more like the Brothers Grimm.
Yeah.
The Brothers Grimm. All the
like
all
classic.
the classic fairy tale stuff. But good question.
Well, Local Man, issue 4, which I love this series so far. The gist is this guy, he got kicked out of a superhero group and he's not allowed to do anything superhero related, even if he holds up something like it's a shield. Not allowed.
Like he signed an NDA or something? Or
Yeah, well, no, like everyone knows that he used to be a superhero,
okay.
but he can't even hold up a trash can to block something because that's a shield. You can't use that. Not allowed. Like
he just has to accept getting smashed in the face by things.
yes.
Oh, no.
Which a lot of people want to because they don't like him. It's a whole thing. He basically did something bad in the superhero group that was like amoral. Like, you know, like people are like, you can't be doing this. You're a superhero.
So he's being canceled.
Yes. He's fired and not allowed to do anything else now. But basically like super villains that were well known are starting to be killed off one by one. And in this one, he discovers like a villain's lair that another villain had found. And he's like, oh, well, of course. All right. Stuff is happening. And another superhero that's still a superhero is getting involved as well. But he's very much against Crossjack, who is the lead character. He's the local man. Because now he's like secretly doing superhero stuff. But like he's not in his old outfit. And the most important thing that I got from this particular issue is that his dog Pepper is still around, and that's all we can ask for.
That's all that matters.
Pepper's the star of the show. I love Pepper. He's one of those dogs that Crossjack went back to his parents' house, and he's like, "You're still alive? You're ancient, Pepper."
It makes sense that there would be animals like that because Tony Fleece is the artist, so he's good at that.
Oh, and once again, they do have another, like, they always have another issue of like a classic looking comic that basically shows like what it was like for Crossjack as a superhero.
Like so they go back and
yeah, like you flip it upside down and it's like, oh, new issue.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
don't miss it. All right, everyone's been excited about this specific Edge of Spider-Verse. By the way, this is number 2. You should go pick up number 1 at your local comic shop if they have them, because it does have a first appearance in there, and we know how that works for Spider-Verse books. That later on, when you go back and you want to buy one, it will be, a $500 book. So pick up number 1 for sure, because I think that is the first appearance of the T-Rex looking Spider-Man, I think. This one is a first appearance. Also, it happens in the B-roll here for Sky Spider, and I loved it. But first, let's talk about this main storyline called Spinstress. Imagine, if you will, Edge of Spider-Verse made a baby with a Disney musical, and that's what you get. And there's a lot of the characters that you see in here that look like they took a Disney character and mixed it with a spider character to be part of the storyline. For example, the Green Goblin that shows up at some point in the story looks a lot like a love child with Maleficent. So not enough to get them in trouble, and they are the same company, so I guess they could be okay anyway. But it's really great. There are a great many lines in the story that are sung, so they have the little musical notes that are part of the storyline, and that is a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool things that happen in it. So this is Spinstress. There's the princess character. Oh, there you can go. You can see the actual Maleficent-looking character there. And Spinstress has this little spider that is her little helper, and they're adorbs together. Sky Spider is completely different, doesn't have anything to do with the other one. It's a much more dark tale. And I'm not going to tell you anything about it because it's such a joy to read. The art style is completely different. It takes place even in a different kind of era. When they start putting things in it doesn't feel like a different genre, but feels like it came from a different time.
Oh, okay.
And it's Sky Spider might be my new favorite spider. I can't say that really too loud because Miles will be mad at me, but
I believe that this is my last one. This is Pop Scars issue 3. Another very adult book. Only for adults, for sure. So Pinky stole once her dad dead. That's the whole plot of that. That was the first page of the first issue. It picks up right where we left off, but in between the current, what's happening currently, we learn a little bit more about her past as time goes on, like what it was like being a kid on set and stuff like that, and what her mom went through and just stuff like that, what she had to deal with her dad. And it looks like the Freaks are trying to completely ruin the production of this new movie, and the Freaks is the group that she's a part of that also wants her dad dead. It's a whole group thing.
She had a group together.
Yeah, it turns out a lot of people don't like him.
Her dad must be a pill.
Yeah, so they're trying to sabotage the production and just ruin the other actors' lives. It's a whole thing. It's crazy. I love the art style in this, and I love this storyline. It's wacky. It's very wacky.
I was going to say, if you see us reviewing things that are issue 3 that aren't just a superhero book that there's a big event in, that probably it means you should go pick up 1 and 2 because we like it enough to continue to read it.
I think I got Edwards by 1 and 2 because it's I need you to read this, please.
Edwards Mark. To answer David Moore, kicking it with Henri and hanging out with Chuck Piano this weekend was epic. We almost died on the highway, and I got to watch Henri do one of his famous sellouts, and that man is probably one of the hardest working people in comic books, no matter what any other person uses as a moniker. I actually watched him nonstop sell, and it was one of those things that it's different than when you watch other people do selling at a convention where they sit at a booth, and if someone comes over and asks them something, then they'll explain it. Henri literally stands on the outside of his booth, and every single person that walks by, he says, can I show you my book?
Oh.
And so he brings them over and he does the pitch, and he finishes the first deal, which is a deal for like, I think it's for 1 through 5 for just $10. So it's like almost giving it away. It's like, wouldn't you say yes to that? I would. And I've read the series. I'd buy another one for that price. And then he says, okay, we got that done. And then he has other little pitches that he does that adds to it. So eventually it's much better than to say, do you want to have this package of all my work for, $45? It's just like, but there's more. But it really is a great deal, and it's really great products, and it's great reading. So anyway, it's one of those things. It's great salesmanship. And it's so funny, as he went during the weekend, as he was trying to get his sellout, he said the things more and more quickly. And I told him at the end, I couldn't understand what you were saying. You're saying it so fast. Those people were just like saying yes so that they could keep going and buying more stuff in the show. All right. And our grand finale is Amazing Spider-Man number 26. If you have managed to actually make it through the entirety of the last 2 weeks without having the finale of this spoiled for you, congratulations. It is an epic storyline, following up with it's been building to this for a while. Oh my gosh, I can't remember that bad guy's name. It is the storyline that happens from, I think it says it on the first name. What is his name? I am the Black Road. No. What is your name? I hate this character because he has 2 names, which makes me crazy. Yep. This is super nice because it's not going to come to me. It's like on every single page, and I can't find one. Oh, my Lord. Be kind to me. Don't be mean. Anyway, this main character who's been messing with them forever, all you need to know is that Mary Jane got sucked off into a different universe for a long time because of what happened in the Beyond storyline and Beyond It, the Dark Web. When she was there, she fell in love with and adopted with a man who ends up being weirdly connected to this bad guy who has been messing with Peter. So this is that storyline playing out. It also includes Miss Marvel, who is at the beginning applying to work at Oscorp. Pete also works at Oscorp now, because you remember he lost his company and all that stuff. Now Norman Osborn is a good guy, and he's dedicated himself to being chill and good, and he is. And this storyline is wacky, cool, fun, and devastatingly sad at the end. So like I said, don't go look up spoilers for it if you haven't had it spoiled already for you. Despite what everyone's been saying about the story, I found it to be a really good story to read. And it's John Romita Jr. art. So if you like his art style, then you will love this book. And if you hate his art style, it will be horrible. But I can't imagine people not liking him. But that's the way life goes, because it's very John Romita Jr. Very, very. Is my favorite look for all the Osborns, because he does the best Osborn hair. Just saying it right now. Best Osborn hair. All right, and that's all of them. Don't miss this weekend. You get to go and watch a super cool Spider-Verse movie. Don't spoil anything for anybody else. If you watch it before everybody, don't be that person. And go and support your local comic shop this week. You can go right away now and call them and say, I heard about these books that I really, really want to have in my pull box. Please set them aside for me on the Wednesday. So we will see you guys next time on The Experience for Minute to Skim It. I've been Miss Jen.
I've been helping.
We'll see you guys next time.
Probably not a demon.
Thanks, Jay, for helping us out. We're glad to see you guys. Bye, guys.